Have you ever stopped to think that the way you talk may be sabotaging your own life without you realizing it? Sometimes it's not fate nor bad luck, but the words that come out of your mouth every day that are pulling you down. A misplaced phrase can scratch your image, shake your confidence, and even close doors that could change your story. Does it seem exaggerated? The Stoics knew, more than 2,000 years ago, that it is not. Just imagine you enter a meeting, or even a casual conversation, and instead of conveying security, your words reveal insecurity, lack of clarity, or even pessimism. You don't even have to say it out loud, because every expression you choose carries an energy, and that energy shapes the way the world sees you. The way you speak is, in practice, a direct reflection of the way you think. And here's the good news: just as one word can tear you down, another can build it. The key is to learn to speak like a Stoic, with clarity, emotional mastery, and practical wisdom. This philosophy is not the stuff of a dusty book. It is a living manual of transformation that can be applied today, in every sentence you say. So, if you want to learn how to use your language as a tool for growth, not destruction, stay with me until the end. I'll show you how adjusting small words can completely redefine your posture towards life. And enjoy. Subscribe now to the channel, because every week I bring you content that can become the watershed in your personal journey. Have you ever noticed how a simple word can change the course of an entire conversation? Sometimes it's not what you do, but what you say that makes the difference. A poorly chosen phrase can close doors that never open again. In the same way, a well-placed word can open up opportunities that you didn't even imagine. It's as if each expression is a seed, depending on how you cast. It can either bloom or dry up before it even touches the ground. In practice, this means that speaking carelessly can sabotage your image without you realizing it. Think of a job interview or even a chat with someone important. If the words come out loaded with excuses, insecurity, or negativity, you convey exactly that. The problem is that the world reacts not to your intention, but to what you actually communicate. Therefore, to master the power of words is to master the way the world responds to you. Now let's reverse the scenario. Imagine entering a room and speaking with confidence, clarity, and tranquility. Even if your idea isn't perfect, the right words give strength to your presence. It's like an invisible magnet that attracts respect and makes room for your message to be heard. It's not magic, it's practice. And the good news is that anyone can learn to adjust their own language. So before thinking about big plans or complex strategies, start by observing the words that come out of your mouth. Ask yourself, does what I am saying strengthen me or weaken me? The simple act of watching language is already a huge step to transform not only your communication, but your attitude towards life. And this is precisely where the Stoic view comes in as a guide. For the Stoics, speech was not just a means of exchanging information, but a direct extension of the soul. What comes out of the mouth is a reflection of what occupies the mind. If words are confusing, negative, or impulsive, they reveal an equally disorganized mind. When the language is clear, serene, and firm, it shows inner discipline. It's like an invisible mirror. Your sentences exactly reflect the state of your internal world. Think of someone who keeps complaining. Without even realizing it, this person is sinking deeper and deeper into their own discontent. For the Stoics, repeating phrases of defeat was like fueling a fire that consumes peace itself. They believed that when you watch your speech, you also watch your thoughts, because one doesn't exist without the other. It's impossible to cultivate a calm mind and at the same time utter chaotic words. Therefore, to speak like a Stoic is not to speak little, but to speak with intention. It means choosing expressions that add up rather than reduce. It means maintaining sobriety when everyone around you is exalted, and not letting words serve as weapons against yourself. Silence was even seen as a sign of wisdom. Only those who have something useful to add speak. When you adopt this view, you begin to realize that every conversation is a training ground for emotional mastery. Language becomes a compass that points inward. If you stumble in speech, you may need to adjust your thoughts. And if he manages to transmit serenity, even in difficult situations, it shows that he has already reached a level of maturity that few have. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and philosopher, understood that to govern was not only to command armies, but also to control oneself. In his meditations, he recalled, "The soul becomes the color of the thoughts it cultivates." And since thoughts are translated into words, taking care of speech was, for him, a daily exercise in discipline. It is no wonder that his phrases have crossed centuries, because they were born of someone who watched not only what he thought, but also what he said. Epictetus, on the other hand, began life as a slave and knew firsthand the weight of words. For him, speaking without reflection was like going into battle without a shield. You expose yourself to the enemy unnecessarily. He taught that every sentence should be guarded as a soldier guards the front line. In other words, it is not about speaking beautifully, but about speaking consciously, with self-control and responsibility for the impact of what is said. These two giants of Stoicism showed that speech cannot be used as a toy because it makes or breaks destinies. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that the ruler must speak clearly to inspire confidence. Epictetus, that the individual must watch his mouth so as not to betray his own dignity. One thought of the collective, the other of the individual. But both came to the same point: the word is a weapon, and only the wise know how to use it. When we bring these teachings to today, it becomes clear every time you open your mouth, you are revealing to the world who you are on the inside. The tone, the choices of expression, even the pauses, all communicate. And if Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus were before you now, they would ask, "What have your words revealed about you?" This is the reflection that prepares us to understand the weight of communication in the modern world. Today, we live in an era in which everyone speaks, but few actually communicate. Social media has given a voice to millions, but along with it, it has brought haste, hostility, and superficiality. It's as if every word has become ammunition, and many people shoot without thinking about the target. In this scenario, Stoic sobriety becomes almost a superpower. Those who can maintain clarity and calm in speech naturally stand out in the midst of noise. Think about how many times you've seen online discussions that have led nowhere. Inflamed people trying to win by shouting, but without adding anything of value. Now imagine someone who enters this same space and with a few words manages to bring light, balance, and even end the conflict. This is the strength of Stoic communication applied to the modern world. It is not quantity of words, it is quality. Another important point is speed. We live in a hurry, answering messages in seconds without reflecting on what we are writing. But each word sent leaves a trace. It can bring people together, open professional doors, or simply undermine a relationship. A modern Stoic understands that even in a hurry, it's worth taking a breath before pressing send. When you decide to communicate soberly in the midst of digital chaos, you become rare. And everything that is rare becomes valuable. The world may be fast-paced, but there will always be room for those who choose to speak with serenity, clarity, and respect. This is the kind of communication that not only improves your relationships, but also strengthens your image and your peace. Speaking like a Stoic is above all an exercise in maturity. It's not about memorizing beautiful sentences or trying to look wise, but about using language as a construction tool. With each conversation, you have the chance to build bridges or build walls. And the training begins in the small interactions. A good morning said sincerely, a request made without haste, a criticism made without offense. It is in these details that maturity is revealed. When you choose your words carefully, you show that you are not hostage to impulse. Think about how many times someone has exploded in an argument and then regretted it. This is lack of training. The Stoic, on the contrary, practices restraint. He breathes, observes, and only then speaks. This self-control may seem difficult at first, but the more you exercise, the more natural it becomes. It's like a gym for the mind. The cool thing is that this training doesn't have to be lonely. You can use each conversation as a laboratory. Meetings, chats with friends, even WhatsApp messages become opportunities to test emotional mastery. The challenge is simple. Instead of reacting in the heat of the moment, choose to respond with intention. It is not to repress feelings, but to direct them in such a way that your speech disappears instead of hurting. Over time, you will realize that speaking like a Stoic does not make you cold or distant, but more assertive and balanced. People come to respect your words because they understand that you don't waste energy on excesses. It is this maturity training that paves the way to transform even the most common phrases into instruments of personal growth. Stoic practice is not just in theory. It manifests itself in simple and practical changes in everyday life. The first transformation is to change "sorry to bother you" for "can I ask you a question?" It seems like a detail, but it changes everything. The first sentence carries a weight of guilt. The second conveys respect and trust. You don't put yourself as a nuisance, but as someone who knows the value of what you're going to ask. The second change is to replace "I don't know" with "I don't know yet." But I'll find out. That little word, "yet," opens a huge door. Instead of limiting, it shows that you are on the move, willing to learn. It is the difference between appearing passive or transmitting proactivity. People with this attitude are seen as problem solvers, not burdens. The third and fourth transformations go hand in hand. Instead of saying, "this is impossible," say, "we haven't found a solution yet." And instead of "I'm busy," try "I'm busy now, can we talk later?" Both changes reveal maturity. You don't close the door to the future or cut off communication in the present, but you organize priorities without aggressiveness. Finally, we have the fifth and sixth substitution, replacing "I have to do this" with "I choose to do this because it's important to me, and I don't have time. But that's not a priority for me right now." These two phrases give power back to your speech. You stop sounding like a victim of circumstances and show that you own your own choices. It is at this point that Stoic philosophy ceases to be theory and becomes real practice. When you start applying these little exchanges of words, something powerful happens. Your mind starts to be reprogrammed. It sounds like magic, but it's pure practical psychology. Each different expression you adopt creates a new pathway mind, and these pathways, repeated day after day, shape your behavior. It's like changing the script of a movie. Suddenly, you stop acting as a victim and become the protagonist of your own story. The impact is not only internal. The people around you also notice. Clearer and more positive language conveys maturity, credibility, and security. The result? More respect, more opportunities, and even lighter relationships. Those who speak with conscience inspire confidence. Those who insist on negative words, on the contrary, generate distrust and close doors. This is the difference between being remembered as a problem or as a solution. It is worth mentioning that this is not forced positivity. It's not pretending that everything is fine, but rather using words that open up possibilities instead of blocking them. The Stoic does not ignore difficulties, but chooses to describe them in a way that keeps his mind open to growth. This subtlety is what changes everything. You don't deny reality, you just position yourself in front of it more strongly. Over time, this impact accumulates. You find yourself solving problems more clearly, dealing with difficult people without losing control, and even gaining more respect without having to raise your voice. It's proof that when you transform speech, you transform thought, and when your thinking changes, your whole life follows. Every sentence you utter reveals more about you than you realize. Words act as open windows, allowing others to see their inner state. A person who is always complaining, for example, shows that he carries constant dissatisfaction. Someone who speaks with clarity and serenity, on the other hand, conveys balance, even in the midst of chaos. And that's precisely where the key lies. Whoever learns to watch speech learns to watch the mind. The Stoics understood this in an almost surgical way. For them, the mouth was just the exit door of what was already built inside. If words are poisonous, it is because thought is already intoxicated. If they are constructive, it is because the mind has been cultivated with discipline. This logic is still current, because to this day it is impossible to hide for a long time what we really think. Sooner or later, it escapes through language. On a daily basis, just observe. People who get excited easily show a lack of self-control. Those who can remain calm and choose their words well in moments of pressure demonstrate a rare maturity. And make no mistake, others notice this difference quickly. That's why language can become your greatest ally or your worst enemy. When you understand that each word is a direct reflection of the mind, you start to treat speech as a training in self-control. It's not just talking beautifully, but speaking in a way that translates the clarity you build within yourself. And the more you practice, the more that maturity becomes a natural part of your identity. Mastering the language is not something that happens overnight. It is a daily training. Each time you choose your words with intention, you strengthen the muscles of the mind. Think of it as verbal academia. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes to speak clearly and in a balanced way. At first it may seem forced, but it soon becomes part of who you are. A practical way to train is to observe what you say automatically. For example, instead of answering, "I don't have time," ask yourself if it wouldn't be more honest to say, "That's not a priority right now." Just this exchange already changes your attitude towards life. You move from the position of the victim of the clock to the position of the one who chooses what really matters. This simple exercise will shape your mindset. Another powerful feature is using pauses. Before responding on impulse, breathe. Mentally count to 3 and only then speak. That tiny space is enough to filter out emotions and avoid words you might regret later. The Stoics practice just that, not reacting in the heat of the moment, but responding with sobriety. And remember, this workout is not about perfection, but about progress. Even if you slip up and say something thoughtless, you're already at an advantage if you're aware of what happened. That's when the transformation happens, when you realize that even slips become lessons. Each day, your speech becomes more aligned with the peace and clarity you seek to cultivate. Now that you've seen how small changes in language can transform not only your speech, but also your mind, it's your turn to act. It is not enough just to understand the theory, it is necessary to put it into practice. Ask yourself, which of these 6 Stoic transformations will you adopt first in your daily life? Choose one and apply it to the next conversation, whether at work, at home, or even in a quick message. The secret is in constancy. The more you repeat these new ways of expressing yourself, the more natural they will become. Gradually, you will realize that people react differently to you, with more respect, openness, and trust. This is no coincidence. It is a direct result of his decision to speak like a Stoic, with clarity, self-control, and wisdom. So I want to challenge you. Comment below which language transformation you are going to practice first. Your answer can inspire others who are also looking to grow. Sharing your choice is a powerful act because it turns intention into public commitment. And if this content made sense to you, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Every week, I bring new practical reflections on Stoicism and personal growth that can be the next step in your journey. Your transformation begins with a word, and that word can be now. In the end, the words you choose are like bricks. Either build the house of your peace or build the wall of your prison. What have you built with your speech? Every sentence you say carries weight, reveals your mindset, and opens or closes paths before you. This is the responsibility, but also the power which lives in your language. Ask yourself, do your words reflect clarity or confusion? Do they convey maturity or impulsivity? Do they inspire confidence or do they generate distrust? The answer to these questions not only defines how others see you, but mainly how you start to see yourself. Because by changing the way you speak, you change the way you think, and consequently, the way you live. The Stoic training of watching speech is not about repressing feelings, but about directing them wisely. It is choosing serenity when everyone is exalted. It is maintaining firmness without aggressiveness. It is showing strength without having to raise your voice. This posture does not distance you from people. On the contrary, it brings you closer because it conveys security and confidence. Now, the decision is in your hands. Will you keep repeating patterns that sabotage you, or will you choose words that elevate your life? If this content has sparked something in you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Thus you do not miss the next reflections that can become the fuel of your personal transformation.